A week later, and I'm trying to find the words to describe the ultimate feeling of desperation, but I can't. Not only can I not describe it, I can't even go back to remembering that feeling. It's as if it never really happened, as if it was a nightmare that just lasted too long. Forgetting is a way of self-preservation, I think. This was the closest I have ever been to losing my mind, and nothing in my body or brain allow me to go back there. It's as if they're trying to protect me. From losing my dog for what were the worst 36 hours of my life, I learned more life lessons than I ever thought I would. I learned about myself, about the world, about how there are moments that define your story beyond your life. He opened the front gate one day using his almighty multitask nose and left for a stroll around the village. 10 minutes became 20, and then an hour, then several hours. It started pouring rain that would not stop for the next 2 days, and my screams and whistles went unanswered. There is a specific moment that the realization of something being awfully wrong covers you like a dark cloud. In this moment, time stops and you stand still, flirting with insanity. For the next 36 hours, I looked everywhere, put up 1,000,000 flyers, pleaded on Facebook. I roamed the streets of our village, of the nearby villages, drove up and down the motorway screaming and crying. I'd come back home every now and then for a couple of minutes, then spend them gazing out the window, looking at the gate, trying to envision him standing there in front of it, waiting to get in. Where was my dog? Where was he now as it was pouring rain and freezing? My instinct was telling me that he was close and hurt, and yet fear, the fear would drive me crazy. He had been hurt, he had been stolen, he had been shot, he was lying half dead on the motorway, he'd die there alone, I'd never find him, I'd never know what happened to him, I'd never be the same, I would never be the same, not after this. The ultimate fear came from realizing that neither he or I would ever be the same again. Was my smile gone forever? How many days until you stop fixating on the gate, waiting for him to come back? When do you start working again? Sleeping, eating.
Apollo, give me some lemon.
Not knowing is worse than death. In death you mourn, but when they're lost, you can't mourn, but yet you do. You hope, but fear takes your hopes and crushes them. And every single moment you know that wherever they are waiting for you to go and save them, because you are all they have. In some flashes of clarity, I'd stand still and envision our best moments together. I try to envision them in such a way that they'd take up actual space in front of me, and in that space I would invite him in. Not screaming, just whispering his name. Call me crazy, but those were the times I believe he could actually hear me calling him. Among the many phone calls and messages about dogs found here and there was one that, once I read it, it just made sense. It wasn't intuition, it was simple knowledge of my dog, of what kind of trouble he could get into, and of how he would react. Attacked and badly beaten several times by a pack of strays, which of course I do not blame, and I would never ever blame them for anything. He was hiding, defeated and hurt under a table in the balcony of an abandoned house. That's Apollo. He hides. He always hides.
Θα δούμε. Αγοράκι μου, πώς μπήκες εδώ αγάπουλα μου? Γιατί δεν είπες στη Μανούλα που σε φώναζε?
Again, there are no words to describe the relief. I can only say that going up those stairs, knowing that I was about to see my dog again, I could actually feel me transforming to myself again. Step by step, I was becoming again me. Fun fact, that morning that I found him, before I even knew I was going to find him, I had washed my hair and done my hair and changed my clothes and even put some makeup on. My partner, having taken for granted the wreck I was the last couple of days, was looking at me confused. When he asked what was I doing, I answered, I just want to look good for when I see Apollo again, because I believe that today I will find him, or he will find me. Anyway, during the next few hours, half of me was with Apollo, clinging onto every single word uttered from the vet's mouth, and the other half of me was contemplating all the things this ordeal taught me. It taught me how low dogs and dog owners are valued here. 7 years ago, when I rescued him, I filled in all the forms and paid for his microchip to be registered in my name, and yet it wasn't. For 7 years, I thought my dog was mine, but in paper he wasn't, because my application was thrown in the garbage among thousands of more applications like mine, of people who trust an incompetent ministry that pays incompetent employees to update a failed and fraudulent database. That's one thing I learned. I also learned about myself and about how I can cope with fear, with loss, and with lack of control. I learned about how I cope with the unknown. Not well. I learned how difficult it is to define individuality and value for a dog in a country of millions of strays. What made Apollo important during those 36 hours was the fact that he belonged to me, to a human. The numerous strays I met during my search, including the ones that attacked him and nearly killed him, have no value because they do not belong. And as they were coming to me tail wagging while I was desperately crying and screaming for my dog, I'd take a moment every time and give them some affection and some food, filled with guilt because as they were around me, what they were saying was, make me important, make me as important as your dog is. But I just couldn't. I was asked at the supermarket where I was giving away flyers what brand he is. What brand? He's an Adidas and Nike mix, I almost replied, but I didn't. I was told at the petrol station that the volunteer who runs the local animal charity is the one who steals the dogs. Stealing is what is considered in Greece TNR, or even rescue. Theft. Rescue is theft in people's minds, seriously. But the most important thing I learned is how illiterate we are when it comes to dogs, how little we know them, and how damaging this lack of knowledge is to them. Most instructions I was given were about where in the village or the nearby villages two strays hang out. As if Apollo was going to find a pack of strays and have some fun with them for a night or two. Stupid ideas, stupid minds, stupid world. An owned dog that is lost does not go looking for a bunch of other dogs to hang out with as if he's a teenager. A dog that is lost is desperately looking for his way home. He's desperately waiting. And if he doesn't find his way home, and if no one comes to rescue him, and if he recovers from his wounds and ends up living in a pack of strays one day, seeming carefree and happy, deep down, he's still looking for home. He's still waiting. Until the end. Anyway, Apollo is recovering. He's almost back to his grumpy, miserable self. What can I say? He's the type only a mother could love. The ultimate happiness of simply having him home with me has subsided. So we're sort of back to normal now and already planning the stories we'll make up about his wounds and about how brave he was when he was attacked by that wild boar. One last thing. A GPS tracker is very affordable these days, and you don't know you need it until you do. I was sure my dog would respond to me calling him, but he didn't. He was just 100 meters away from home, hiding in silence, so GPS would have spared both of us the heartache.